All right, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. Today I'm excited because this is going to be a deep dive, and it's going to be a hands-on approach to some key questions, some key moments that we all experience in our lives. You know, we've all, most of us, I think, have been there, have experienced paying bills and just going through our lives, kind of zombie mode on automatic, and just working to pay bills and go back and forth, and really not having a sense of purpose. Um, that is what we're going to talk about today, and that is something we're going to have a hands-on approach today to overcoming. So if that's you, you want to stay all the way until the end, because I'm going to give you three phases. We're going to talk about three phases of development and three phases of hands-on practical activity that we can pursue in order to overcome that feeling. And really, I want you to get unstuck today. That's my goal for you. So let's take a look. Just, this is a little bit of my background. You guys can see, why am I even qualified to talk about this? Well, because I got lots of experience with this personally, from a theoretical aspect, but also from a very practical aspect. 15 years of teaching, tutoring, and academic coaching, helping students get into top schools, teaching all different subjects from physics to writing to, everything. And also lots of many years of teaching, training, and leading sales teams. Serial entrepreneur and author of a 300-page book on actually the topic that I'm talking about today, right? Author of a 300-page book in that. So this is a little bit of my journey. When I started out in what was it, 2013, just at Columbia, right? Just a student, and I had no kind of business experience. I had no social skills. Today, still, I am a total introvert. I will admit that. But I've come a long way, and there's been involved with a lot of business and entrepreneurship. And then here with this book, Rationality, Virtue, and Liberation, it was something where before I even got into business, I knew that I wanted to really examine and analyze philosophically and scientifically, neurobiologically, how do people perceive purpose? How do people perceive meaning in their life? And that was something I wrote on, and there's a scientific basis of it. And we're going to actually explore that and explore how to find it. And this is me also more business plans and entrepreneurship and a lot of soul searching that I've done over the years to find out, okay, where do I find meaning and purpose? And this is me looking happy, but feeling very stuck at the time, running a business, right? And you might feel like that as well in your career, like you're maybe you're making even a great income, right? Many people are making a great income, but it's like, okay, I'm just paying for a house and cars, and maybe I take a 2-week vacation. Wonderful. But like, am I actually, forget happiness for a moment. Forget, do I feel fulfilled? Am I actually doing what I am supposed to be doing, right? And how would I find that in the first place? A lot of people are stuck like I was, and they feel like, okay, I need to pivot into something. I need to find my purpose and what my meaning. I need to find meaning in life, but how do I do it? We're going to find that out. We're going to talk about that step by step. Okay, there is a step-by-step process, and it's scientific and it's logical. We're going to go through the analysis of it. It really can happen. So I'd love you to, as we're going, post in the chat, type in the chat here, or type in the comments if you're watching this on the replay. What was a moment in your life, or what is a moment in your life where you had to make a choice of pivoting into something different, right? How did you feel, and what did you do? Were there obstacles? How did you overcome that? I would love to know, and I'd love to hear about your experiences as well through this process. But it really comes to a very important question. It really comes to a really important question, which is, what really is success? Let's go back to this for a moment. Aristotle, and as you can imagine, philosophers have been talking about this for ages, right? Aristotle's just one of them, okay? I'm not picking out just the Western philosophers. There have been Eastern philosophers and everything in between, African philosophers. But Aristotle is one of my favorites because he talks about this ancient principle, which is what this webinar, this stream is titled about. There's this ancient principle called telos, and telos means basically your purpose, your end point, your end state. And he talked about a way to find it. Success isn't really happiness, and this is my firm position here. Happiness, let's think about it for a moment. Happiness, let's go back to this for a moment and just talk about this. Happiness, you can achieve happiness or a feeling of happiness just by, through substances, right? Through pharmaceuticals. There are many ways to feel happy. There are many ways to experience happiness, right? So it's a psychological state. It's just a feeling, right? Now, yes, many people may talk about happiness and use that word kind of in a deeper way. Granted, it's a little bit of semantics here, but success, granted, is not really only about happiness. It's about more than that. And we'll talk about what that is and again, how to find that. But here's the problem. Here's really the problem. And here's part of the reason. It's not all of the reason, but it's part of the reason we feel aimless, because we've kind of been taught to. Industrial society, as the Industrial Revolution came on and developed, we lost this concept of telos in the end of the 1700s, or early 1800s, the first Industrial Revolution. We had these ideas come up from Descartes, who was much earlier, obviously, but other philosophers who came after Descartes, other thinkers and scientists who came after Descartes. And with the advent of science, what happened is scientists started to find, kind of reasonably, right, if you think about it, well, there is no real purpose, right? There is no real end to anything. There is no real reason for anything. There's what we can touch, taste, feel, see, smell, all of that. Purpose is not one of them. It seems like a little mystical, magical kind of thing. It's not a real thing. And so we can see this reflected in how Descartes talked about purpose. I consider the customary search for final causes what he talked about purpose, telos, right, from Aristotle. That was erased in the modern era to be totally useless in physics. Of course, right? We don't have to use this in the sciences and in physics. But here's the problem. Just because we don't have to use this concept in the sciences and in physics, it's not necessary for the models we see in the sciences. It doesn't make the idea of purpose invalid. That's actually a logical fallacy right there. It doesn't mean that that idea is invalid. Now, it doesn't also mean that your purpose is something that somebody dictates to you or that's completely fixed. We'll see that. Right, but this was the problem with the modern era, and this is part of why, through industrialization, through actual development of technology, we kind of lost this idea of purpose. We lost that. So let's understand, though, there is a logic. This is one of my favorite things. There is a logic of purpose. Science investigates certain things, doesn't it? It's true. And if you know my videos, if you watch my videos, I take a very analytical approach to things. I take a very scientific approach to things. Science is not the only. Science is a way to explain and predict outcomes in the physical world, right? But there are also, this is a big debate, mind versus matter, and non-physical things and physical things. There is a debate on about this, but logic, like math, like some other things, these are not physical things. These are relations or relationships that are necessary truths, regardless of whether physical objects exist, whether we exist. So behind all that, I'm not going to go into this because this is, I wrote a whole book on this, as I said. You can actually, if you're interested, you can read that whole book. But Rationality, Virtue, and Liberation. But the thing about purpose is there is purpose, meaning these concepts actually have a logical structure, just like math, just like logic, right? It is non-physical, but it doesn't mean it does not exist. Now, Modus Tollens, Chomsky, Noam Chomsky, who, if you know him, he comments a lot on politics, whatever you make of his politics, but he invented the theory of generative grammar, right? Hauser, Harvard scientist, who came a lot later, he developed this further and talked about a moral grammar. So meaning and purpose, I'm not going to get too deep into the weeds on the theory of it, but it's very much related to a whole thing that can be proven about it logically. So, all right. So it sounds interesting, right? The key question is, it sounds interesting, but why should I care? Right? Okay, great. You got these logical principles. Let me go make dinner now, right? Okay. So why should you care? Why should any of us care? Well, the thing is that proving that there is such a thing as telos, as purpose, right? It does exist. We've been convinced very much so that it's this mystical thing. It doesn't really maybe exist, and it's too ethereal. It's too out there. It doesn't matter to my life. I'm just living my everyday life. I don't care. Well, if there is such a thing as telos, then it stands to reason, or purpose, then it stands to reason there is some method of finding it. And we're going to talk about now how to find it. Now, very importantly, let's take a look at this study. This is actually a very recent study. I actually just recently added this to the slides because even though there's research on this is even brand new research validating a lot of stuff that we've known. Now, happiness, I talked before about happiness, being some end state, right? That's psychological. It's just a feeling. It's not maybe the most important thing. If you really want it, you can eat ice cream all day. That will make you very happy. But this happiness, how they're defining this in this study and how they've tracked this and all of this, it's a little bit of a deeper psychology, or deeper focus. It's a little bit more similar to what I'm defining as purpose in my explanation here. So that being said, what the researchers have found recently is success or happiness is a practice. It has to be developed. You go to the gym, right? We go to the gym and take a look at what it says here. Where is it actually? So here it is kind of like going to the gym, right? Going to the gym. Here we go. It's like going to the gym. We can't expect to do one class and be fit forever, right? And that's true. And so just as with physical health, there are certain things that we need to do habitually every day, every week, in order to and develop habits around them, certain activities that not only create a feeling of happiness, but actually help us and are the tools for actively finding our purpose. And without doing these things and making them habits on a daily basis and a weekly basis, it's going to make it that much more impossible to find what your true purpose is, what you actually what you're supposed to do, right, in your life. And again, nobody dictates that to you. You have to find it. But how do we find it? Well, this study sheds a lot of light on that, how to find happiness, how to find your purpose. And actually, this study showed, very interestingly, look at what it says here, is that it challenged the prevailing self-care narrative. So actually, I want to talk about this. So self-care, this whole idea of self-care, focus on yourself, have a spa day. A lot of these things are, okay, they're fair ideas. But what happens is, and there's a ton of research on this, showing this, that when we focus too much on ourselves, or focus so much on ourselves, and what are we doing? We're trying to be happier. We're trying to be more fulfilled. We're trying to, sit with a good book, or do a spa day, or, have this relaxation time. focusing so much inward, what that ends up doing is it actually ends up, and there's research on this, that self-care focus ends up having the opposite result. It actually has worse results for our mental health when we focus so much inward. So we talk about happiness takes practice. Well, this is showing that self-care doctrine, this ideology that we have about self-care, is actually very wrong. It's actually very wrong. What should we do instead? Well, let's talk about that. So here, instead, what they focus on, and there's a lot of other research. It's not just this study, but what the researchers showed and what the researchers emphasized is that much of what we teach, right, revolves around positive psychology interventions that divert your attention away from yourself by helping others, being with friends, gratitude, or meditating. So it's outward focus that causes us to, yes, have happiness as a byproduct, but that outward focus also helps facilitate us finding our purpose, actually finding it. Okay. And now we're going to get into the concrete stuff of how to find it, the concrete steps. Okay. But that's important. So how to discover your telos, how to actually discover it. Well, we talked about the research on this already. And there's tons of research on this particular point. Tons of research on the first point here, and too much to go into. I could show you study after the books, anthologies on this. Experience is how we learn. A lot of us are making the mistake of saying, okay, I'm going to develop myself. I'm going to be, I'm going to personally grow. You know how I'm going to do it? I'm going to sit on the bed with a book. Or I'm just going to, no offense to anybody watching this, but I'm going to scroll YouTube and watch videos. Oh, look, I'm personally growing. I feel good about myself, right? I'm not saying you should stop watching this live stream, by the way, but because I'm proving a point. But here, or even a lot of people, they go, okay, they go to the gym. Great. They go to the gym. And how many times I'm like inundated with it on social media, right? People going to the gym and, I bench pressed so much weight today, and oh man, get out of your comfort zone and grow and get out of your comfort zone, and I'm personally growing. Yeah, you're not really, though, because it's still in your comfort zone. Going to the gym is not a difficult thing. I mean, it's, if you haven't gotten into the habit yet, it's a marginally difficult thing, but it's not that far outside of our comfort zone. I mean, there are lots more things that are way more outside of our comfort zones that we could be doing. Many times people use these things, and I call it in one of my past videos, and I'll talk about this in future videos too. We create a self-help bubble, this bubble, right? Okay. Within this bubble, I am doing things that make me feel like I'm growing. And I might even show up to some groups, some coaching calls or whatever. And, we kind of hold hands and we make each other feel good. And, oh, great. Kumbaya. We feel like we're growing and we're doing things and we're advancing in life. That's a problem. So here's what I want to emphasize is, number one is experiential learning. We have to actively go out and have experiences in life, come back, discuss them, talk with other people about them, get feedback about it, experience the failure, right? And that's actually how we learn. We don't learn staying inside that self-help bubble, right? It's an illusion. It's self-help illusion that we've created for ourselves. So many of us, right? I've been guilty of it. All of us are guilty of it at some point, but discourse as well. So discourse is the second thing here, outward focus. And that's the outward focus, not focusing so much on myself to find my purpose. Ironically, you actually find it by not focusing so much on yourself. So we'll talk about that in phase 2, right? So what is phase 2? Phase 1 is like finding your purpose. Once you have some sense, and I would argue like finding your purpose. Okay, do you actually find your purpose like concretely, and then like you just find it and you're done? I don't really think that's how it happens. I think it's a lifelong process, and you keep going back and refining it, right? It's not something that just happens eventually, right? But once we have some sort of direction in terms of finding our purpose, well, we need to go into phase 2, right? Mastering a skill. Well, why mastering a skill? Because when we find that new direction, new directions require new skills that we might not have yet. And so here's some very important components, right? And people pursue mastering skills often totally in the wrong way, right? Number one thing that's very important is project focused learning, always having a learning goal. In terms of like SAT students, when I've taught SAT students, right? It's not like we can't just start the lesson and say, oh, I want to improve my SAT score. Great. Okay. You want to improve. So that is not a goal. That's not a goal. How about in the next 6 weeks, I want to improve by at least 150 points. Okay. Oh, great. Now that's a learning goal, right? So it's a results based goal. So a project, creating a project or having some idea of a project, okay, this is my purpose. Okay, now I'm going to make it concrete. What's the actual outcome in the world that I want to have? Now, making that very clear, now it's going to help me define the learning goal. Okay, peer learning. That's also how we learn the best, with peers, right? Lots of research on that. I won't go into every point here. Action and experience. Failure is important. A lot of times, it's funny. I actually saw a post on Reddit recently. Somebody's like, I just started drop shipping a month ago and I'm not getting any sales. So Shivansh, if you don't have any peers, great question. If you don't have any peers, there are ways of finding other people and connecting with other people. Feel free to reach out to me, because I do have some ways to be able to connect people who are interested in working on the same things. So feel free to reach out anytime. My email and contact info is in my link in my YouTube bio. So feel free. I have some advice for you. So also action and experience, but great question. Action and experience. I saw a post on Reddit where recently, I just started drop shipping a month ago and I spend so much money and I'm not getting any sales and I don't know what I'm doing wrong. And like a lot of the Redditors who replied to this guy or to this person is pointed out very, very accurately. Well, you have been doing it for a month. Okay. So why are you expecting that you're going to succeed at this right away? So what we actually have to understand is when we build out our project, we have to build failure into it. And that's why a lot of people just fail in general, is because they don't build failure into the plan and expect to fail, not fail once, not fail twice, but fail multiple times, fail 10, 20, many, many times. In fact, that's the reason why AI and machine learning, right? Why is machine learning so amazing? Why is it so amazing? Well, machine learning is built on the principle of failure, right? When have you seen like these robot dogs, right? And they can go through and do backflips and run over wet terrain and do all these things. Well, how did they do that? Did they do it from day one? No, they actually had learning algorithms, and they have to go through this process of failing continuously. And that's how they eventually get the right combination of movements to be able to go over rough terrain and things like that. So, but the thing is, our problem is we have human psychology and we have human emotions that get in the way. So, that's a little bit of our issue. We have to build failure into our process. So teaching is also another important aspect of mastering a skill. Okay. So you say, oh, well, I don't know the subject yet. I don't know coding yet. How do I teach coding if I don't know coding? That's precisely why you should start teaching it, at least to a small audience or some peers, right? Again, that's where peers come in. But if you teach it to peers, people can give you feedback. Like, I didn't understand how you said it. Or when you're presenting it, you realize, oh, I actually don't really understand this or that concept. Then it helps you dial down into what you need to work on next. So this is really, learning is not easy. Their dedication will surely take us over. Yeah. So robots, maybe. Yeah. But robots and machine learning and AI really should be tools for us, right? Not to replace us. So hopefully, right? Motivational hacks. So we can use motivational hacks as well. So I actually have a program, and has been 6 years in the making at least. It's the Life Navigator program. I just launched this, but it's been like my dream for 6 years to create a system and a three-phase system like this to help people discover their purpose, go through that process, connect with a community of like-minded individuals who are on that same mission, and who and also to take us through that skill mastery process to learn those new skills and then create the project and then connect with resources that can help us to develop that and make that a reality. That's been my dream for 6 years at least, because I've always wanted to help people. I want to help people to make a difference in the world, not just to, okay, make money and all that stuff is great, very important. Money is like oxygen, right? You need it like breathing, right? But we're not just here to breathe air, right? So breathing air is not our only purpose in life, right? So that is my mission. I really want to help people to make a meaningful impact. They may not have the direction, they might not have the skills, they might not know where to go or what to do. This is really designed to get people on that track to get started. So you can go to splifestylesolutions.com to get started. Check it out. If you have questions about the program, feel free to let me know. But I'm doing a pilot program, a launch of this program, a soft launch on March 29th. So, and I do have a special discount available or promotion available if you want to take advantage of it for the first round. It won't be available in the future because I will be, increasing the price after that. But if you want to take advantage of the first round and be part of our first cohort starting on the 29th of March, feel free to go to SP Lifestyle Solutions or reach out to me. My link is in my YouTube bio. And you can ask any questions and get more information. So thanks, guys, for tuning in today. Love your participation. People will see it on the replay as well. Hope you got some useful tips today to 10x your life in the next 90 days. So thank you, guys. Take care.